Good evening, America and abroad. It's that wonderful, joyous time again, a beautiful Sunday evening. Today it's been a little warm, mid 80s. Not really a whole lot of wind blowing. The chickens have been crowing and pecking the ground and digging mounds here and there, laying some eggs, which is great because I love eggs. And they've been tasting pretty good. So this evening, if you have your Bibles, Um, I have a wonderful, wonderful message to bring this evening, and I'm glad you're here to hear it. So, if you have your Bibles, we're going to be reading John chapter 9. John chapter 9. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Now, I've never been a witness to anybody who has been born blind. Um, my daughter, she does wear glasses, but it's not because she's it's not because her vision is that bad. It's just her eye muscles need to be strengthened, and the glasses they are doing that. But she could see. She's been able to see just fine. But I have known of people that have been their vision has made them, um, you know, it's been pretty bad to where they had to be diagnosed as being blind. But that's been, in their older age or their elder years of life. But never have I been around somebody who was born blind. But nonetheless, Jesus answered and said, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents. Now, I believe that this verse we can attribute the ending of this verse to our life. But it says, Neither hath this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me, while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Now, maybe your job has been compromised due to this pandemic that we have going on in the world. Maybe your hours of work have been decreased significantly. I know I've got some members of my family that have shared some personal things with me of their finances, and for them it has not been good. Um, but at the same time, um, they're not doing everything that they should be doing as far as serving the Lord or putting God first in their life. Now, I'm not here to uh, beat them at this time, but at the same time, um, you know, God does not leave His people forsaken. He does not leave them out to dry. Do you hear what I'm saying? If you're seeking Him with everything that you've got, and you're paying your tithes, and you're giving your offerings to the best of your ability, you're not holding back. You're seeking God. He will bless you. Now, at that same time, your work might be decreased, but if you're out working, you're doing your part, trying to make ends meet. God will see you through it. Now, I have shared with them, I have witnessed with them many times, and telling them how the Lord has blessed me and my family. But at the same time, I have put the work in. Now, my uncle, he is a worker. But at the same time, he's not doing everything that he should be doing. I understand everybody in their life right now, their lives have been turned upside down. But sometimes God puts us through these things. He puts us in these lowest of valleys to maybe to just whenever we're down at the bottom, when you're at the very bottom, the lowest part of your life that you can ever go, what do? Your eyes go where? Naturally, you're at the very bottom of this mountain, and you do what? You look up. Well, when you look up towards a mountain, mountains are pretty high, they're pretty tall. Guess what? God is beyond those clouds, He's in the heavens. So when you look up, your eyes are naturally going to look towards heaven. You're going to look towards God. And it's usually at that point in time that you say, God, help me. God, hear my cry, hear my prayer. And usually these lowest points of your life, it comes at that point in time. But, sometimes God puts us through these things so that the works of God can be made manifest in our life. Now, I shared this with my uncle. Whether he received it or not, he didn't. He just kind of, accepted it, but I don't know whether he really understood it. So maybe you're going through these things, and a lot of times it's for a particular reason. Maybe it's to get you to understand and realize that, look, you cannot do these things on your own. You cannot do these things by yourself. And first and foremost, that this is God's way of getting your attention to do the works in your life that He wants to. He's wanting to do things in your life, but you're not making Him a priority for it to happen in your life. So He's got to take everything else away to get your eyes off of those things that are in the middle of Him and of God and you, of whatever is in between you, holding you back. And a lot of times it works. But getting on into the reading of this chapter, when he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation, sent. He went his way therefore, and washed, and he came seeing. The neighbors therefore, and they which before him had seen him, that he was blind, said, Is not this he that sat and begged? Some said, This is he. Others said, He is like him. But he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, How were thine eyes opened? They couldn't believe it. They were questioning. He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes, and said unto me, Go to the pool of Siloam, and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. The one thing I do have to point out is that he was obedient unto the Lord, and what he said, he did. Without obedience, you can't receive what God is trying to give you. He answered and said, A man that is called Jesus made clay, and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, Go. Verse 12, Then said they unto him, Where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. Then again the Pharisees also asked him how he had received his sight. He said unto them, He put clay on mine eyes, and I washed and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Others said, How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them. They were quarreling. They were putting their traditions, their religion on these things. They couldn't believe it. They could not believe it. They said unto the blind man again, What sayest thou of him, he that hath opened thine eyes? He said, He is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him, that he had been blind, and received his sight, until they called the parents of him that had received his sight. And they asked him, saying, Is this your son, who you say was born blind? How then doth he now see? They didn't believe him, so they went to the next best thing. The next thing in line, his parents. His parents answered them and said, We know that this is our son, and that he was born blind. But by what means he now seeth, we know not. Or who hath opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age. Ask him, he shall speak for himself. These words spake his parents, because they feared the Jews. For the Jews had agreed already, that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. Therefore said his parents, He is of age, ask him. Then again called they the man that was blind, and said unto him, Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said, Whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know, that whereas I was blind, now I see. Then said they to him again, What did he to thee? How opened he thine eyes? They still could not believe. At this point, they don't believe the testimony that God did for him. They don't believe that he was one, the blind man. They said, it looks like him, but we don't really know for sure. So they went to his parents. They said, Yes, this is our son. But they still didn't believe. So now, as to where the eyes being opened and being blind, and now he can see, they're still not believing it. So now, the man, they are, at this point, he's just becoming a messenger, trying to tell them, look, Christ did these things for me. And they still don't believe him, that it was Jesus Christ who did it. Our lives are to be a reflection of things like this. He's not giving up. He is still holding on to God. He's still, he's still there. He's still saying that it was God. That's what we are to be like. He's not saying, well, I just did it on my own. No, it took God to do these things for him. So now he's kind of annoyed. Verse 27, he says, He answered them, I have told you already, and ye did not hear. Wherefore would you hear it again? Will ye also be his disciples? Then they reviled him and said, Thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know not from whence he is. The man answered and said unto them, Why, herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he hath opened mine eyes. Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper of God, and doeth his will, him he heareth. Since the world began, was it not heard that any man opened the eyes of the one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. They answered and said unto him, Thou wast altogether born in sins, and dost thou teach us? And they cast him out. Jesus heard that they cast him out. And when he had found him, he said unto him, Dost thou believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, Who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said unto him, Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, For judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and they that which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, ye should have no sin. But now ye say, We see. Therefore your sin remaineth. I don't know about you, but that chapter, it gets me excited. It just reminds me of the wonderful miracles that God can do for our lives. You know, my son, he had this milk allergy, some other diagnoses that doctors put on him. They labeled him as whatever. You know, we're thankful for doctors, and it took us a while to figure it out. But at the same time, for over 6 years, we tried and we tried to figure it out. Our son was just basically a faith builder for my wife and I. As I progress, as my wife and I, as we get older, as we grow older with our children every day, we see our children grow every year, month to month. You know, this is something that I do. I reflect on those years that we spent with him growing up and getting sick numerous times a month. Our family around us, folks in the church, they can verify all of these things because they witnessed it too. But you know, looking back on it and then reading this chapter, for me, it was a faith builder, and I believe it was just a test from the Lord. And you know, we prayed for that boy like nothing else. And you know, we still do pray for our children constantly. You know, but at that specific time in our life when our son was growing up, he was our firstborn. You know, there's nothing in our life that says that our firstborn is the favorite one. You know, we love our children equally, and I'm sure that every other family out there, they do the same thing, right? But when you have your first child and you're still young, and we were young in the Lord, and you know, we prayed constantly. My wife and I together, my wife over our son, me over my son. We prayed and we prayed and we prayed. And on the 7th year, when he turned 7 years old, from that point on, he's still 7 right now. He's fixing to turn 8 in a few months. But from his 7th birthday on to this present day, that boy has yet to get sick. From what he had 6 years and 11 months prior to, he's not had a day since at all. And you know, the number 7 is the number of completion. And I figured during that time that it was just a test from the Lord to just see how long that we would pray. to see how long we would hold faith in Jesus. And during those 7 years, we've had two other children. So now we have a total of three. And, our other two children, our two little girls, they haven't had any type of sicknesses that he had. And now, reading this chapter, it just reminds me of we our son wasn't blind, but he couldn't eat everything that he could eat right now without getting sick. And so, God put us in that. He had us in that situation just so me, my wife, and the family around us, that we would be able to see the works, the miracles that God can do for a family and their child. And it was an amazing thing to go through. It was a growing experience and something that we will never forget. Oh my goodness, that God is just, he's that grand, he's that great, he is that powerful. And I pray that this word has just soaked into your heart. I pray that you can, maybe you're going through something, and maybe this is your looking up moment, that you can look up to the heavens and say, God, you have brought me here for a reason. I'm looking up unto you right now. From the very bottom depths of your soul, the lowest of low that you can go. The only place that you can go from here is up. And I pray that our testimony with our son can give you some encouragement. But I pray most of all that this word gives you the most encouragement. And I pray that you can just use it for your life, that you can use it in somebody else's life. And, I pray that you have a great work week. I know the holidays are coming up. We just came through Thanksgiving. Now it's Christmas, New Year's. The holidays are a hard time for a lot of families. And it can be a hard time for people who are single or who are young. And so if you're a family and you know somebody who's young or you know somebody who's single, reach out to them. Let them know that, hey, we still love you too. They could be missing family. They could be overseas deployed, whatever the case might be. Reach out to them. Let them know that they're loved and that you're caring for them and that you're praying for them. And I pray that the Lord would bless you beyond measure and whatever life has for you and has for you in the future. I pray that you're just encouraged and blessed. And, may God just use his word to further in your life, to further your walk with him. And I pray that you have a great evening and a great night. God bless.